Episode number 12 is Senior Master Sergeant Craig French, the current Kunsan Defender Shirt. Craig and I met through similar interests around the base. He attended a few classes of the Airpower Leadership Academy and will be an instructor for the upcoming class. Craig and I share many similar interests. We both like Coors Light, always have our own Koozie, have read many of the same books, enjoy running, and we're both fans of Tom Brady. I ask him what life as a first sergeant in Kunsan is like. Craig goes on to explain how he loves his job and would do it for free. He loves it so much that he has extended as a first sergeant, and I try to get him to explain what it is about that job that he loves so much. He suggests some good books and movies that are must-reads and watches. My favorite part of this discussion was when he talks about General Mattis and how organizations should be more like gangs. Today I got Craig French, episode number 12, I believe. Tom Brady. I don't know if you're a Tom Brady fan or not.
I actually am a Tom Brady fan. Not a Patriots or Tampa Bay fan, but a Tom Brady fan.
That's good. I'm also a Tom Brady fan, and I've known him for a little bit, and it wasn't until today that I realized you and I have so much in common as we were just like getting ready to do this over the last 20 minutes. He brought his own Koozie, first person to do that. We're both Coors Light people. We have a lot of interest in the same books that I have sitting here, so overall, it's kind of interesting to know like we have a lot of the same interests, and now we're both Tom Brady fans. So
absolutely,
I'm really glad to have you on here as episode number 12. I know I've like asked you if like twice to do it, and you were always down. This is the second time I'm interviewing someone where I don't know too much about, just through a few interactions on base. But I'm pretty excited for it. We've got a lot in common, like I've already said. But if you would just tell us about yourself.
All right, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me today. I'm blessed to have the opportunity. So, as you said, Craig French, been in the Air Force now about just over 16 years. Spent my first 13 years in the aircraft maintenance field as a jet engine mechanic, but I got to do a couple different jobs as I went through that career field. Just over 3 years ago, I got picked up under the old DSD process to be a first sergeant, and I'll tell you, when I first got picked up, I wasn't super excited to do it. I never did the symposium. I had no ambition to be a first sergeant. I was one of those ones that slipped in and got picked up. So reached out to a couple mentors of mine, and I was like, man, I don't know if this is the right job. And it was kind of a big joke because, being a maintainer, I was kind of rough around the edges. Mm-hmm. But talking to my mentors, they're like, hey, sometimes you just can't be selfish. You just got to do what the Air Force asks you. So, hey, I put my nose to the grindstone and just got after it, and definitely enjoyed it. So, went through the First Sergeant Academy, got to my first assignment at Misawa Air Base, and I was super excited, thought I was going to go to Fighter Wing Staff Agency, FSS, live my best life outside of maintenance for a little bit, get there, and the command chief's like, hey, you're going to go to AMXS. What do you think about that? Hey, roger that, sir. I got you. So went out to AMXS, where I knew just about everybody because I'd worked with them in some way, shape, or form through the first 13 years of my career. So it was an awesome place at the end of the day to like cut my teeth as a first sergeant because I knew the mission, so I didn't have to worry about focusing on learning any of that. I just had to focus on being a first sergeant and taking care of people. So I spent about a year and a half doing that, and then I got the opportunity to go over to the Logistics Readiness Squadron. And like I tell everybody as I go through this, it was nice to go where the grass is definitely greener in the MSG. So spent 18 months there, and that was one hell of a team. It's probably one of the best. Up until this point, I've been in security forces here at Kunsan for a short period, but it was probably one of the best teams I had the opportunity to serve with. Everybody was just firing on all cylinders, from NCOs through senior NCOs through the young officers that were there. So I got a huge breadth of experience coming out of LRS, so I was truly blessed to have that. And arrived here at Misawa, and it looked like I was possibly going to go back to maintenance, but command chief hooked me up, gave me security forces, and I couldn't be more happy to be over there. It's been an awesome opportunity to see what the defenders do here and just learn their way of business. So,
was that Chief Woods that switched over here?
It was. So okay. Chief Woods reached out to me early on, and he had read my bio and like, hey man, you're a maintainer. You served in maintenance for your first 18 months, and here we're looking to put you back in MXS. What do you think about going to security forces? I said, absolutely. Please put me there. So, definitely a great decision because I've got an awesome team over there, and I couldn't ask for anything better. So,
yeah, that's crazy. That's cool that you're now working with security forces, as you know, or maybe you don't know. I talked to Chief Schoen on here, which was pretty cool just to talk to a defender in charge of all the defenders. I didn't know that you could get, I guess, non-vol or volunteer to be a first sergeant. I thought it was a very competitive, and you had to want to do it.
But what happened is under the DSD process, we had a few number of master sergeants in the unit I was in at the time, and at that time under the DSD process, you had to meet certain criteria, and there were several that didn't meet that criteria. There was 3 of us at the time that met the criteria, so each go-round we got put up for it.
Okay.
So eventually all 3 of us ended up getting picked up to do some DSD. So again, like I said, wasn't super happy at the time, but awesome opportunity now. And like I said, I don't know if I told you, I actually extend it to be a shirt. I like it, so I enjoy it so much and taking care of people. So
is that an easy thing to extend to and get to do?
Yeah, it's not bad. It was pretty simple. There's a little paperwork. You got to work with your original career field plus the first sergeant career field. And it wasn't bad or easy or hard at all.
Yeah. Man, just life as a shirt. You're the first shirt that You're the first shirt that I've had on here. And there's just so many questions in my mind on like doing that job. I'm a big fan of my current shirt, Chris McDonald.
Love him. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's in our RapCon every day. He's like plugged in and listened. It's really cool to have him. Just that though, like your job is literally just to go around and fuck around or hang out with people and get to know them, help them out where you can. Yeah,
absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. Like I said, it's all about, a lot of people don't say fucking around necessarily, but that's what I call it. I love it every day. I say it's the easiest job in the Air Force. There's probably going to be a lot of people that shun me after they hear this for saying it's the easiest job in the Air Force, but there's no effort. It's just taking care of people, and I enjoy taking care of people. So ultimately, that's why I look to extend this a shirt. I kind of weighed my odds. Like if I went back to maintenance, I wanted to go to the flight line. There was very, very small chance that I'd go to the flight line not being a chief, being a senior master sergeant. I was destined for the engine back shop, and that wasn't for me. I don't like working in the back shop. I'd rather be out on the flight line. So I kind of weighed some odds, and if I went back to the back shop, I was just going to be looking at EPRs and awards and, only have 80 to 100 people to take care of and a whole unit, and being able on here at Kunsan, you can affect the whole wing as a first sergeant when you're out and about getting after it. So
yeah, I can see it, and then you get like all those entries into ALA, and I'm sure there's other programs and offers you get. I'm curious, so many things you said that I could talk about the awards and decks side of it, of the house when you're a senior master sergeant of a maintenance.
Yeah.
Like, man, I know that stuff's important, but like I've been doing that lately. End of second quarter, I've been doing a lot of awards and EPR stuff for decorations that are coming up. And sure, I get the importance of it, but man, sometimes I'm like, I just want to like do my job again. Or like I see the airmen and staff sergeants walking through laughing and doing their 8 hours and leaving. I'm like, man.
No, I agree with you. Yeah. Like I said, I go back all the time. I really, after going to LRS, I fell in love with the job. So that's why I decided to extend. I thought I had a bit bigger effect on people than just the small amount I would in the engine back shop or whatever, going through awards and decks.
So being a shirt, best part about the job, and then we're going to ask, like, there's got to be some bad parts to it too. So
there's best part, you work for yourself. I've had awesome command teams. I've had great commanders, great chiefs I've got to work for. And as long as you're getting your shit done, nobody's in your business, So if you're taking care of the unit, taking care of the people in that unit, it's like you own your own business. That's the best part. There truly, I wouldn't say there's anything bad about it. There's some days I would say are a little rough because we're constantly given problems, and it's just solve that problem. Yeah. But there's some things you come across you just can't solve. It's just about taking care of the people. So those are the days I'd say are bad.
So man, if I had to ask your worst experience, I mean, I guess some things you probably can't talk about, but
worst experience. Tough one. I guess it was I had a young airman had to deliver a stillborn baby at like 34 weeks. That was, again, you're a problem solver, and there's nothing you can do but hug her and her husband and say, hey, I'm here for you. What do you need me to do? Mm-hmm. Other than that, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, that would be hard to deal with. Yeah. You can't do anything about it.
No, not at all.
So I know first shirts do a lot with punishment and stuff. I'm sure that's not a fun part of the job,
It's not, man, because I look at everything I learned as a young NCO. Somebody taught me to look at your unit and your unit, your people, your work center, whatever it may be, as your family, and we always want our kids to be better than us. So that's how I take it. That's the kind of the approach I look at. I look at everyone in my unit. They may be the same age, maybe younger, maybe older, but I look at them as my brothers, my sisters, my son, my daughter, and I think it's easy to focus there, looking at it like they're my family members. So if my kid gets in trouble, I don't want their world to be hindered and just completely over. So that's kind of how I look at punishment. And secondly, with that, I did a lot of dumb shit growing up. It was about having great people around me that pulled me in when I was getting out of control and took care of me. So that's how I look to do it with these folks.
Was that like When you say you were young doing dumb shit, was that in the Air Force or prior?
That was absolutely in the Air Force. I am far from perfect to make it here. It was great people that surrounded me that helped get me here. And that's what I said. I think sometimes now we're a little trigger happy to just straight punish people instead of when you see somebody getting out of control, kind of grab them by their coattail and say, hey, let's get your shit together and get out of here type of thing. And
can you reflect or remember some of those moments where you were doing something dumb and someone corrected you and caught it and how they approached you with it?
Oh, absolutely. Underage drinking was one of them.
Okay.
So got hemmed up real quick for it. And, at a party doing it, but I had a good supervisor who found out and scooped me up real quick and said, hey man, if you're going to do anything more, you're destined to do great things. If you're going to keep doing great things, you got to get your shit together. So it was just that, get me home to the right place. And then I was up the next morning and good to go.
And as a 20-year-old, you appreciated that in the moment, or did you have to?
I definitely appreciated that. And why I reflect back on that. So my parents, right, I'll talk a little bit about them. When I was going into high school, my parents set I'm a one of five, so I got 2 brothers, 2 sisters. They set us down and like, hey, we know you're going to do shit in school that is going to be illegal and get you in trouble, you know, whether it's drink, do drugs, whatever, but we're your get out of jail free card. So I wasn't perfect in high school, but it was about calling your parents or being honest with your parents when you got in those situations and get you home. So that's another thing why I appreciate supervisors that did that for me. And that's what I try to portray down on people because we're not perfect. We're always going to make mistakes.
Yeah, that's a really good philosophy. And again, I've already listed like 4 different things we have in common. Episode 9, it was reversed. I got to sit in that chair, and Kiara Frazier, she sat here and interviewed me, and she asked me, what's your leadership philosophy? Nice. And my actual answer was to treat people, my subordinates or even my peers, as they're like my own little brother and little sister, because like you're willing to go an extra mile and do extra things for these people if you actually care about them.
Absolutely. I feel it's paid huge dividends for me and the units I've been a part of.
I think I kind of stole that from the air traffic career field manager, Chief Davis. So I'm wondering, like, for you to also be thinking this, maybe it's in a book somewhere and that's where we're getting it from, or
I don't know if I got it from a book. I remember when I was a young tech sergeant, I think I was a young tech sergeant when I heard it from one of my pro supers or whatever at the time. So
yeah, maybe it's just something that's been passed around. It makes perfect sense. As soon as I heard it, I just couldn't believe I hadn't thought of that before.
Yeah, I think by the time I started looking at it like that, instead of being, the other ways I looked at things, I was able to get, exceed a lot more with the teams I was a part of.
Yeah. So something else I wanted to ask you is, I know you made staff first time, tech first time, senior first time, master second?
Yep. I made master my second go round.
So, we've also talked about it, and you said you were never really focused on promotion, which is unique because most times when people move up that quick, that is their focus. What do you think, like, how do you accredit your success?
I had awesome leadership at the time. I definitely had good and I had bad, so which was nice. You got to see what you want to do and what you don't want to do. So I had good leadership, put me in the right spot. So promotion was far from my number one focus. I did put some time into studying a little bit, but nothing too crazy. And but I have to credit it to I had awesome leadership. I had awesome people that worked for me and just busted their ass day in and day out, which obviously they make your EPRs, the people that work for you, at a certain point, as staff sergeant, tech sergeant, whatnot, you can go out there, turn wrenches on jets and produce your own EPR in a sense. But by the time you start getting to master and whatnot, you got to be leading good teams and have people that take care of you because they're the ones that ultimately are doing the business that gets into your EPRs. So I'd have to attribute it to great leadership.
So good leadership, somewhat right place, right time, having good people under you. Yeah, one of my friends, mentor Chief Harper at Spangalum, he put on Chief like 2018, 2019. And while he was a Chief Select, this random brand new airman 3-level walked up to him and said, "Hey, sir, congrats on making Chief." And he just looked at him and smiled. It was at the Christmas party and was like, I did it off of standing on he's like this big 6'4" big dude. He's like, I did it by standing on the shoulders of airmen like you. And even though it was kind of funny and like a joke, I was thinking like that it's true though. Like a lot of my success is people underneath me doing something, and I somewhat helped maybe just a bit and get some credit for it.
Yeah. Like I said, I credit it because I spent a good chunk of so I went to Kadena in 2007 as an A1C, made senior airman there, but I ended up spending 7 years. So I made multiple promotions there, but a big sports guy. So I refer to the teams I worked with there as like the dream team, So I had what's called, I always referred to my team there, and at Tinker is the dream team, man. I always had all the right maintainers around me at the right time and got the right jobs. So truly blessed to have that happen.
Big sports guy. I didn't know that. What are your favorite sports? Baseball,
probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not a big baseball guy, but I definitely can get behind some indoor baseball here in Korea. Yeah. It's a fun hobby. What do you think it is you like about? So, did you play baseball, other sports growing up?
I did. I played baseball for the longest, a little bit of football throughout there, but baseball mostly.
Okay. What position did you play in football and baseball?
So I played catcher in baseball, and then when I was football, I played guard, tackle, and a little bit of linebacker. But,
okay.
I was fat growing up, so most people don't know
you
that.
Picked up running.
Yeah, I picked up running to join the Air Force because I lost about 85 pounds to get there. So
that's a lot of pounds.
Yeah.
And I talked about this with another podcast, but what do you think it is that you like so much about sports, and how do you think sports helped you be who you are, competitive, whatnot, growing up to where you're at now?
I did, like you said, I like how competitive they are, and I like the teamwork aspect because I don't think we can get anywhere by ourselves. No matter what we do, it takes a team. So I'd have to say the teamwork and the competitiveness, because good competitiveness amongst teams, I think, will drive teams to always be better.
Yeah, I've actually never thought of that. I guess I've thought of it just not that in depthly. I wonder if there's any science or research behind like people who play sports, how they work better in organizations with a team 10 years later.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to look into.
I would assume better, like it's practice.
Yeah.
Something that I really like about sports, and I'll talk about, is just what I like about it so much is competitive, and it's like if it's a one-on-one sport or a team sport, the team that's going to win is who's ever practiced more, and then it's just this even game, equal odds, and just two forces colliding, and who's ever more prepared, stronger, wins and comes out on top, and the satisfaction and feeling of winning and being better than another man or another competitor is there something you can't explain it, and it's very primitive, I think. But I really enjoy sports. That's why, like, now that I'm getting older, I'm like playing chess and stuff. Just like, how can I continue to be competitive as I get older? Like, I can always play chess. Yeah, but that's cool. That's cool. I didn't know you were a baseball player. You played indoor baseball out here?
I have not played indoor baseball.
Man, you're missing out.
I mess around with softball a little bit.
Okay.
No indoor baseball.
Yeah, you gotta do it, and you can drink there. One time,
I'll check it out.
Yeah, one time, me and my friends, we went on a whole day down to the beach, and the one, I don't know, it's like an hour from here, not even an hour. Okay. And then when we came back, it was like midnight, and we didn't want to go home, so we went to the baseball place, and then we continued to drink there, and we were like, we had our shirts off, like playing indoor baseball. It's a really fun time.
Just a good time. Nice.
Yeah, you got to try it. Yeah, sports is good. Were you a reader when you were in high school?
Absolutely not. Did not care about school.
Me neither. When did you pick it up?
Probably a couple years into the Air Force.
Yeah. Staff sergeant or before that?
Probably around staff sergeant, honestly.
Okay.
You know, I started doing some college as a senior airman, I guess, but then I picked up more reading. I guess it would have been around a staff or tech because I started TDYing and deploying quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So when you're on air, flying around the world all the time, it was just something easy and fun to do.
Well, do you remember like what the first self-help or leadership book you read was?
I honestly don't.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I do. How to Win Friends and Influence People. I read that and I was like, all this information on how to get people to do what you want, it's just here.
It's in a book.
I have it all now. Yeah. And so I just kept doing it, and now it's so fun to like moments. It's hard. Sometimes I'll do things knowing I got it from a book. I don't really remember how or the experience of where I learned it. I'm sure in your position as a shirt, like there's moments where you're interacting with people when you're like, oh, I can use something I learned from a book.
No, absolutely. Look back on it. And like I said, coming in here, it's funny. You talk about things we have in common, and I see your chalkboard over here, and it's got how you want to read one book a month. So that's kind of my goal, at least one book a month, two if I'm lucky. And like you said, you look back on it like, oh, I remember where I found that, or where I learned that was in this book. And I'll sometimes even go back and like reread it, highlight it, like, okay, got it.
Yeah. Again, so that there's two types of people. So I'm in a book club here. I'm about to leave. You should join us. We're starting our next book pretty soon. If you're a reader, we read one book a month and we talk about it. We meet every week. It's pretty good. So far, we've read 3 books, and every book's a book I would have never read if it was up to me. But it's kind of cool to read different books on like things that I wouldn't have read.
What's the next book?
The next one is, we haven't decided. We decide. So we meet every week, and we split the book up into 4 weeks. And so we're going to decide this Monday, or actually it's going to be on Tuesday for the first time. So if you want to come to book club meeting, just watch us talk about our current book. It's at 5:00 on Tuesday. I'll invite you, so you don't have to remember that right now.
What book are you reading right now?
Grit. Angela Duckworth, I think, is the author.
I haven't read it yet, but it's on my list of books to read. So
okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's one of those books I would never read. Like, I don't want to learn how to be what is it? Not persistent, but resilient, I guess, is kind of what it is. Like continuing to do something even after you suck or you fail. It's like one of those things like, I already know I'm supposed to do that. Just keep trying. But it gives you like these ideas. That I don't know if you saw my little piece of paper there. It's Warren Buffett says you should write down 25 goals, right? Everyone has a bunch of goals, especially in the Air Force. They tell us to have goals. So we have goals. We don't always share them with everyone. It said, write down your 25 goals and then circle 5 of them and forget about the rest, right? And it's like, so I did it. I think I only wrote 22 and I only circled 4. Because those were the 4 that were most important. And then when I was looking at the 4 I circled and the other 18, I'm like, yeah, I don't really care about those other 18. And why it was telling us to do that, or why Warren Buffett says you need to do that, is because you need to focus on what's really most important to you. You can't spread yourself out. Like you can't work on 25 decorations at once. You got to do one, then the next one. Yeah. And so that's what this thing is saying. Warren Buffett's giving advice like, do one thing at a time. That's why I'm so successful.
Okay.
Which is completely opposite of what the Air Force tells us to do. It's like, you already did Airpower Leadership Academy. Don't do that again. Do something else. And it's like, but I really like that. I want to keep doing this.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of interesting to see, like, the book tells us. Yeah.
So what are the other 2 books you guys read? You said you're on your 3rd. So.
The first one was The Coddling of the American Mind.
Okay.
That one's pretty cool to, like, see how people got to where we're at now. And then the second one was Chief Keel, the fire chief.
Okay.
He has a book published. So we read that one, it was a book to maximizing your enlistment.
Well, you can check out his good friend also has a book, is a fire chief. He just released it, Paul Watts. So it's on Amazon. Check it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you read it?
I have not. Just got released.
So I'm endorsing it.
I will endorse it because he's an awesome dude.
That's cool. Yeah. I actually like Chief Keel's book, and it was like if we weren't a book club and we spread it out over 3 or 4 weeks, I could have read it all in like a Sunday. Okay. But it's not bad. It's got some good stuff in there.
Nice. Y'all come check it out though next week.
Yeah, Tuesday. I'll make sure I message you. Actually, we're in a group chat. Chief Keel's in there too, and I'll add you in there so you can get all the info. What are some of the favorite books you've read?
So Call Sign Chaos is one of my favorite. Can't Hurt Me. I just finished reading Extreme Ownership was a good one. Yep. I read Make Your Bed and Team of Teams. Those are probably top 5 books.
So if you had to pick 5 books, that's it?
Yeah, those are good.
You left Dale Carnegie out, but those 5 sound good. That's cool. The first 3 you named, I've read. The second 2 I've never even heard of, but all I'm thinking about is that speech at, I don't know what school it was for the guy.
University of Texas, 2014. Okay. So yeah, it's just a quick read, but it's a good book just about, the one thing you do in the morning, make your bed kind of sets the tempo. Yeah. But he's just got a lot of good tips on how he made it through SEAL training and different things throughout his career. So it's a good book.
So a day read kind of thing?
Yeah, you can. I read it in about an hour and 30 minutes.
Oh, that's real short.
About 150 pages, I think.
Okay.
So it's good.
I feel like that's pretty fast reading.
It's quick. It's a small book though. It's not like big pages. It's the smaller pages or whatnot. So, and then like I said, Team of Teams with General McChrystal is another good read. So
what's that about? I can make an assumption.
So it's about how they changed the outlook or some of the special ops training and their outlook through the early early Iraq, Afghanistan, and just talks about forming all these small teams to be one big successful team.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely a good read.
It's something I read Call Sign Chaos. And before we started this podcast, you were telling me about one of your favorite parts of that book, and I was like, I don't remember that part, and it really bothers me, and I'm gonna have to reread it. And I highlighted it too, so I'm kind of curious to see if I just completely skipped that page or something. But if you would, I thought that was really cool. I guess philosophy or. So,
like I said, love General Mattis. Read the book twice, back to back. But he, and I told you why I liked him because it was kind of I feel how I handled people, and it may come off wrong here, but if you handle your work center, your unit, your group like a gang, you can keep everything inside the house. Gangs don't let anything out. Yep. So he talks about that in there. He goes, if you just keep that tight knit group, like these street gangs or whatever, you never have an issue. So I like that because really, if you don't, why let anything out of your bowl of chili, because then more people find out and it's all highlighted. So that was one of my favorite parts in that book. But I mean, all in all, the whole book is great because his whole philosophy on everything and how he just gets down. And one of my other favorite parts in there is where he talks about on Christmas relieving like a young lieutenant on guard duty to go spend time with his family, and he stood guard. And I think he was a 2-star at the time. So I bet that lieutenant wanted to be like, no. Yeah, that is cool.
It definitely inspirational. One of my favorite parts about that book is it's like in the appendix A or B, but he just talks about why it's so important to read in our line of work. More so him as a general of the Marines, but even for us, like just how important it is for reading.
Well, another thing in there, I tease. I love my Marines because I spent a lot of time in Okinawa, obviously. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people dog Marines how dumb they are. But then in that book, he says at each level they have a reading list they have to comply with.
Just the officers, right?
No, enlisted as well. So they have a reading list to comply with, and that's what he talks about in that book. How he goes out and he should be able to ask, and like he would hold people accountable if their lance corporals and corporals weren't knowing that reading list or reading the books off that reading list. So, and here we talk about not the smartest branch.
Yeah. So one of that's. Man, I got to reread that. Maybe because you read it twice. You got all this stuff.
I read it twice back to back.
I promise I read it. And I'm like, why did I miss that? Yeah. I do remember him saying there's a reading list, but I didn't know it's for the enlisted people too. We work with 2 Marines here, both E5s, sergeants. And it is really cool. Like, you always hear they're dumb. I don't ever really work with these guys, so I don't know. But they're just as smart as us. They're just as hardworking. Mm-hmm. They're in better shape than us. They're still working out while the rest of us aren't. Yeah. He's Mike Morgan Weibel is one of my favorite of the 2. I hang out with him more. Not that Aracho's not great. He's a cool dude. He's just a little quiet. But I'm going to have Weibel on here too, just to like have that interaction of how was it a whole year here with Air Force people, and to tell him how I feel about having them too. But I am going to ask him about that. Like, I wonder if that's still a thing or if that was just a General Mattis thing.
I'm not sure. Like I said, it was just in the book, and I thought it was pretty interesting. Mm-hmm.
But he is a reader. He has talked to me about a few books. I don't know if it's pushed on him by his leadership or his own accord. Man, that's good. What's your 6th favorite book?
I guess I would say those. I say those books. They're probably not in perfect order, but another one's "Turn the Ship Around" by David Marquette, I think, or Marquette is his name. But that was an awesome book about when he took over that nuclear submarine that was just in a clusterfuck. Yeah, and he talks about how he turned that around. That was a good book, I thought. Just it was very basic on how to handle everything and move forward, and you could attribute that to every day in like a work center I'm in.
Yeah. I could see that, and it's crazy you say that. You're the 3rd person to say that's one of their favorite books on here, and I've never read it, and I never heard of it until I started doing this podcast. If Finer Things Club, the book club we're in, that's going to be my pick for next month. I know you already read it, but like everyone keeps talking about it. I got to read it.
You guys have read like 3 back-to-back serious books. Like I told you when I first got here, it wouldn't hurt to throw in Thank You for My Service by Matt Best. It's a short read, because it's funny and it's just a good time. He's thanking everybody for his service. And like I said, Matt Best is one of the founders of Black Rifle Coffee. Just a hands down great book. I tease because I was sitting there I laughed so much I had tears going through this
from a book.
Some of the things he was doing and like the guys he was serving with, it's phenomenal read.
That's good. It's rare when a book can make me laugh that well. So
I wouldn't say it gives you a lot of leadership points, but it's just a good break up the monotony of like constant back-to-back leadership books. So
that's a good suggestion. Yeah, we almost read a fiction book once, and then we're like, how are we going to talk about this? What are we going to say? Who's your favorite character? Yeah. This is recorded at the 27-minute mark, so I'll have to push that. It's cool being in a book club because sure we all we vote for what book every month. And whatever book has, everyone gets to suggest one book and we vote, and then that's the book you read. But it's cool just how many suggestions come out that like I'd never considered. Like if you were in there, you just suggesting that. Like sure, the club might never pick it, but I'll add it to my list. Yeah. Maybe I'll pick it up. So it's kind of cool just to see what other people find are their favorite books. Because if it's someone's favorite, it's got to be pretty good.
Yeah, that's how I usually find out about books. Talking to people like you, you say something, and then I got a list in my phone, and I just add to it. So.
Yeah. How many books are on that list right now, do you think?
Probably 25 books.
Yeah, that's a lot of books. Yeah. We have one guy, he's stationed in Europe. He's not really ever reading the books, but he's just like, I'm just here to see what books you guys are suggesting. And nice. Patel, he's just in the chat for that, just to see. Probably has it muted. And so going back to being a shirt, having to discipline people, I'm sure you've had to give Article 15s to people before, and I think you always try to avoid that, right?
Yeah, like I told you before, I kind of frown upon Article 15s. There's certain things I agree we need to use Article 15s for because they're the most appropriate. But it hinders members so much, I feel, the Article 15. obviously the AFI doesn't require us to do a referral EPR anymore, but so many people are still caught up in wanting to do that. Mm-hmm. And then, we use them for rehabilitation, but that Article 15 is still constantly in your AmJams record. So if you go to apply for a special duty later on, that can be seen. So I always try to avoid that because, again, it's going back to like, hey, I want to, these are like my brothers, my sisters, my son, my daughter, and I want to take the best care of them that I can. And is Article 15 the best to rehabilitate them, where I can get the same effect with LOR or UIF control roster, which is in their record for a short portion, but it's not forever seen in their record, so you can recover from that. So I'm a huge advocate of going that route because, we all make mistakes, and, one mistake is that what we're going to end somebody's possibility to go down the road and or join into a special duty or certain jobs they may not be able to do because they received an Article 15 at some point. So.
Yeah. So even if someone got a DUI, you would try to avoid it?
No, DUIs are different. So that's some of the cut and dry stuff. Yep. There's certain things, those are just no-goes, but I'm talking about some of the other things. I've seen, curfew violation was a big one at my last base, and everybody wanted to give Article 15s. Why are we doing that? Shit happens. I think we can get the same effect with an LOR, UIF, hinder them that way, and it's only a short period versus the long term. Because, I got it. There's a certain disposition for an Article 15 to be in the UIF and whatnot, but the problem is the long-term effects, because that can be looked at in your AmJams record forever. Mm-hmm. So that's what, again, there's certain situations, no doubt, we're going Article 15, but other situations, like, hey, let's rehabilitate them. And I think, I feel I've had a lot of success with that and making airmen better because they're like, I appreciate you thinking about that. And they've went on to do good things because they didn't have Article 15s.
Yeah. Here's something I'll attribute to you and you're doing, and probably through all the books you've read, is I could imagine some shirts, even if that's their idea and they didn't want to give their airman Article 15, being able to influence the commander to agree with you is something that takes effort and tact, and you're doing that. And I could imagine the commander. You have to you've had 3 different commanders minimum at this point.
So I'm on my 10th 10th or 11th commander right now. But like going into that, I think I know where you're getting at, and I use myself as an example all the time. There's definitely, like I said early on in this podcast, there's things I did that probably could have attributed to Article 15, LOR, UIF type of thing. But I had the right people around me that didn't allow that to happen. So I like to pay that back.
Yeah, I think it's cool, and I'd be excited. I'm sure you've done it for enough airmen at this point, 5-10 years, when they're where you're at now, they're gonna message you like, hey, thank you for saving me, like helping me out. Because I've done that, especially since doing this podcast, and I started journaling a few years ago. I'll like remember things and be like, I really need to thank like Steve Nastasi or Bill Welsh for like making me do these things that I didn't want to do. Or
definitely, I'm the same way as you. I don't personally journal, but definitely there's things I go through, and I just thank people. Like it'll be just a rant. That's one cool thing about Facebook.
Yep.
Just, hey man, I appreciate you.
Yep. Literally today, I was driving and I was kind of near the fire department right before the FOD check. Before you turn left to get the FOD check, there's a stop sign, and I stopped there because I remembered something someone had done for me, and I was like, I need to send this guy a message right now. I'm gonna forget. Nice. And I looked behind. There was no cars behind me, and I just I took a full minute and did it, and then went on with my way.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy. That's cool. Man, so we can talk a lot about leadership. I can always do that. And just to break it up, because not everyone's into that, I'm sure you'll send this to a few people that don't care too much about the leadership side of it. So more about you, traveling. Where's your favorite travel destination? Where have you been in your life?
So Thailand's probably my favorite place, but this is my 11th year in PACAF. So I've been blessed to spend a lot of time over here. When I was at Kadena my first time, got to go to Malaysia, Singapore.
On TDYs?
Australia.
Awesome.
There's multiple places I could name. I also went on vacations to several of them, but Thailand is hands down my favorite place.
How many times have you been?
Thailand, I've only been once. I only went on vacation to Thailand. Some of the other Asia countries, I've been 2 and 3 times, whether it be vacation or TDY, but Thailand's favorite.
But you've only been into the country of Thailand once?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hands down the best country I've been to so far.
What is it about there? I've never been there, but I always hear it's a great place.
It's awesome. It's a beautiful place. And, I mean, you could go there with $100 in your pocket and live like a king. It's like I said, just beautiful place, everything. Food is outstanding. It's all, I went to Phuket, so you're right on the beach, right on the water. It's all open air bars, open air restaurants. And like I said, people are outstanding, and then $100, you're living like a king.
What could I do with $1,000?
Oh yeah, get in trouble.
Well, that's where I got it. When COVID goes away, that's on my spot. I'm about to finish my master's degree. I'm like, all right, I'm going to plan this great vacation to celebrate. And that's on there, but I need COVID to go away so I can celebrate this well-deserved. Yeah. Got like 80 days of leave. Nice. Yeah, nice. I got to do something cool.
Over here selling leave. I have to.
I will never do that. Oh. Man, so Mike Thompson is one of your cops, Master Sergeant, big good friend of mine, Airpower Leadership Academy guy. I'm sure you know him. Mikey drops. I didn't know his reason for that. And when I asked him, we were drunk 3 weeks ago. When I asked him why do they call you that? He's like, "What, John? I've told you this 4 times. Do you ever listen to me?" I'm sorry.
Hell of a story.
I guess it's not very good if I don't remember it, but it is a really good story. And I'm sorry I don't remember. I remember it this time around. But I asked him, knowing that you're his shirt. I was like, "Hey, I've got Craig French coming on here. Tell me something I can ask him." And his question was, ask him how he engages cynical mother F word like cops and maintenance, and to convince them that you want to help. So how do you convince these people that you're here to help as a shirt?
1, punch them in the throat.
Okay.
And 2, follow through with what you're saying you're going to do. So they come to you all the time, 'cause I always tease, because when you're in maintenance and cops, you're just getting your shit pushed in on a daily basis and different things like that. So as a shirt, I look back at my time in maintenance, and the first sergeant's not doing anything. They work the standard 7 to 5 during the day. Mm-hmm. So my big thing when I came in to be a shirt was, hey, I'm going to work shift work. I'll come in so those guys and gals don't have to find me. I'll find them. I'll take care of whatever they need, and just execute and follow through on what they give you. And as soon as they start seeing the benefit of that or the reward at the other side, you're in. It's good to go.
Yeah, there's 2 things you said there. So I'm going to get to you coming in during the night. I'm guessing you come in on the mids and shit sometimes too. But what I've noticed in my small realm of influence is when you ask someone something and they need help and you do it, cool, you help that person, you influence that person, but they tell their friends and they tell their coworkers, and then these other people, especially if you do it for someone that's trusted and liked, then other people start coming to you well, you helped him. Can you help me?
Absolutely. And people keep coming to you. A success story for me, I was just telling one of the other shirts the other night.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
A buddy calls me from Spangdahlem. Mm-hmm. He's like, "Hey, dude, I can't get any help. I need some stuff taken care of here. He's a tech sergeant. He got a young staff sergeant working for him, trying to PCS, needed orders, but he wanted to take some leave en route and
come here.
No, he's actually going to Massawa. Okay, but couldn't get his orders. So networking, because 95% of the shirt job is about who you know, mm-hmm. not what you do. I knew somebody. I reached out to AFPC. I was like, "Hey, can you hook me up with this to get this kid some orders?" And
someone that wasn't even at Massawa or Spangdahlem.
So I called AFPC to get a guy in Spangdahlem his orders. I just name, social, we sent it off to AFPC, and a guy I know there, he's like, "Yep, got you." So in about 6 hours, we had this kid his orders ready to go.
That's cool.
That's the stuff I talk about following through. So then it's word of mouth. You mm-hmm. do that, and then "Oh, hey, I know this guy. He'll take care of that." It's the same thing in all the units you go through. If you follow through with it, people will keep coming to you with their issues, their problems, and it may be the simple things like finance and orders and mm-hmm. whatnot. But then when they need the real help, that they need a shirt for, they have no problem. They're like, "Hey, this guy or gal followed through and got me what I needed on this. Maybe they'll be able to help me with this to help me through life."
Yeah. Do you think 10 years ago when you were a staff sergeant that you would have wanted that? You would have wanted everyone to come to your problems with everything?
No, probably not.
Yeah, and now...
I was just grinding in maintenance, loved it. And I was like, like I said, I didn't want to be a shirt. Had no ambition. I was working on airplanes and enjoyed it. And but now I love it, man, taking care of people, because it's all about bringing our brothers and sisters up. So like I said, it goes back to hey, I want my kids to be better than I was. So same thing for these airmen. I want them to come up to the next level. I want you to get what you need, help you out to get you there. So one day you're where I'm at and you're taking care of people. Because at the end of the day, my son, my daughter may be here, may be serving for one of these young airmen, and I want that same treatment portrayed to them.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's weird how that satisfaction, you get some satisfaction out of doing that stuff, I think it's cool.
Yeah, I tease all the time. You could take my paycheck right now. I wouldn't give a shit. I'd still do what I do every day because I love it. I enjoy it. There's not a day that goes by I don't want to wake up and want to go to work.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do enjoy air traffic. Man, but I don't think I can say that yet. So maybe I gotta go be a shirt and see if if that's my hobby.
Come on over to the dark side.
Oh man, I don't know. That'd be a commitment. Oh. So what other cool things have you done as a shirt? Because that sounds cool. Like, and that was recently. There's got to be some great moments.
So the coolest part one of the coolest parts about a shirt, I guess, is obviously in maintenance. I had done the things in maintenance like run aircraft, get incentive rides, all that. But then to go to LRS and, you got 5 flights in LRS and to be able to take part in all the different things those men and women do, get to see that. Like, I would have never had that opportunity if I wasn't a shirt to go see what vehicle maintenance has to do, what supply has to do, what ground trans. I mean, the other day with security forces, I was out shooting a 203. So, I mean,
here?
Yeah, where the hell would I ever do that, They take great care of me. I get to go on these, I call them field trips. They're like, hey, shirt, you want to go shoot? Hell yeah, let's go shoot. So,
man, that's cool. Yeah, I feel bad. Like, we can't do that for our shirt. You want to watch us work air traffic? That's cool. Yeah, well, man, you're making it sound more fun every day. I've
job in the Air Force.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you have to know a lot though before you can get there. Yeah, I mean, you got to be a master.
You have to know a lot of people.
I got to start meeting people.
The network is the key because as long as you got the network of people, shit gets done.
Yeah, it's funny you said it's like a field trip almost every day. I'm scheduled. I don't want to jinx it. I haven't even told like anyone I work with except for 2 people that I have an incentive flight scheduled for Thursday. I'm really excited. This is my 3rd, 4th fighter base, and I'm like, I really just want to get on an F-16.
Is this your first ride?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If I already had one, I would give it up to someone else. Maybe actually, let's see how much fun I have, and then I'll decide. But how many have you been on?
So just one. So
okay.
I was on 15s, which is definitely a much better airframe. So
probably shouldn't say that here.
16 guys. So I did one on a 15. I had multiple opportunities on a 16 when I was a shirt, but the same way as you. I had a hard time when there's young airmen, staff sergeants, whatever, never got one to get a second one. I was teasing. I told Chief Clark I would like to be a little bit selfish coming out of Kunsan. I would love to get a 16 ride to compare both of them because I'm going back to Kadena after here. So nice. Going back to 15s, but I think it'd be pretty awesome to say in, my Air Force career, I got to fly in both an F-15 and an F-16. So. That
would be really awesome to say, but it's pretty cool that you're being selfless. And maybe I wouldn't be going right now had you said I'll take another one. Who knows, But I'm really excited about it. And so yesterday, I spent all day just going to different appointments to get qualified and like parachute training and water training. It was a lot of fun. Like that was a lot of fun to do. It was like a little field trip. People measuring me and putting me in all different flight suits. The first one was like, I don't know if it was a senior airman, if he was fucking with me, but he gave me like the smallest flight suit. So, and he closed the door and said, try that on.
They put all your shit on, start yanking straps. And
I couldn't get the thing on. I finally did, and I came out. He's like, might be a little too small.
Yeah, you'll appreciate it, man. Like you'll have a lot better respect for fighter pilots after you go through. It's an awesome opportunity to get.
I'm nervous. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if nervous. I guess I am nervous since I said that, but it is. Like they were telling me, here's the breathing techniques, and he showed me for like half a minute, and I was like, I don't got it. He's like, you'll get it.
You're gonna get your ass whooped no matter what on it. It's all good. So.
They don't even know what like the mission is out here for like what they're gonna do. They're not doing anything crazy like dogfights, I assume so. But it is exciting to.
It's cool. Hopefully, let you take the stick for a little bit. Whip it around so you have a good time.
Hopefully, we'll see.
Keep it airborne though.
Where was yours at in Japan?
I actually did mine in Guam.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Are you stationed there?
Nope. We were TDY one time out there, so we took a couple D models and just were doing incentive rides on every go that we could. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. So. It was nice. We got. I went out. I think on an hour and a half ride. We did so going out there. We got to fuck around, have a good time. He kind of beat me up a little bit, and then we got out there, did the BFM. So that I really had appreciation for fighter pilots when they did the BFM because that shit was no basic fighting maneuver. Okay. So we were dogfighting, shooting chaff flare, different things. And then when we came back, he really let me. He's like, "Hey, you're good," and he like put his hands up on the canopy, and there I am, like, "Oh shit, here we go." So I got to take control for a little bit and had a good time, man.
Was he excited to like have you in his back seat?
Oh yeah, because they're looking to get you to throw up. That's their whole goal. Yeah, the crew chief's gonna tell them to get you to, and like make sure you take your Ziploc bag because if not, you're cleaning up your mess in the cockpit.
And
So
it's like you said, some dude or someone he wasn't my guy at AFE, but another AFE guy said, "Hey, I've been giving incentive flights for 6 years now. Only one person's ever thrown up, a comm guy."
I've seen plenty of people throw up.
So I was like, okay, cool. I won't do that. Now I'm not confident anymore.
I tell you, when the whole ride is fine, but it's the straight and level when you're coming back. It's just like, oh shit, man. But he's like, hey, just turn on that 100% oxygen and you're sucking it down back there and you're good to go.
Okay, that's what I'll do. I'll have it on the whole time. That sounds like fun. Yeah, I'm excited. I'll let you know how it goes for me.
Hopefully, they're going to let you take like GoPro up there to get some pictures?
I don't know. I didn't think so. Heck, I've got a GoPro.
It's cool because sometimes depends on the mission set, whatever you're going, they'll let you put the GoPro in the canopy, so with suction cups, and it's cool. Watch yourself go through that whole thing when you're like in the seat.
I watched some YouTube videos to prepare myself, and just seeing like 4Gs and like their eyes are like this. I'm like, oh, maybe I don't want a video of that.
You can pull like 9 on this.
I hope so, but I also hope not.
Once in a lifetime, so just do it.
You're right. I will live.
Yep.
Airpower Leadership Academy is another thing we both have in common. How did you find out about that?
I actually found out about it from Angela or
Holden.
Senior Holden.
Okay.
Yeah. So I ran into her somewhere and she was talking about it. So I came out there to the shirt panel and kind of fell in love with it there because, like I said, it wasn't the standard PME setting. The first time, I don't remember the young female's name, but I said something what I thought was my opinion. And she right back and gave it to me. And I appreciate that she didn't look at it like, hey, that's a senior master sergeant. She's like, that's cool. That's your opinion. But, hey, this is my opinion. So I like that it's, like a good freedom of speech. We don't have to, be very PG in there.
Yeah. And what's cool about it is for her, she was a staff sergeant. And she got to talk to you to say what she's actually thinking. And everyone supported her for it. Even you did.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. And like you said, I thanked her at the end. I was like, hey, that takes a lot because most people won't do that. Mm-hmm. But I appreciate it. Like, hey, speak your mind, your opinion. Because obviously most of these airmen, NCOs nowadays are coming in way more educated than you and I did when we came in.
Oh, so by far. Please
open your mouth and let me know what you have to say. Because if not, we're going to go way further with that than just my mindset.
Yeah, it's we're gonna talk more about LA, but that's something I've realized I've been doing a lot lately. I got put into a new position that I'm not familiar with, assistant chief controller, so in charge of the RAPCON essentially. And I'm messing up a lot of things, and sometimes I do things right, and then someone will tell me how I should have done it, and someone outranks me, and I'm thinking like, you don't realize like how much time and effort I put into this, and the way you're saying it sounds dumb to me. But then I'm like, you know what? I can learn from this. The dude outranks me, like he's got the experience. Let me just listen to it. And then I'll be like, all right, you know what? Maybe I should. And it's cool to like just be able to just not take things personal, not let your ego get in the way, and just listen to what they're saying. And if you strongly disagree with it at the end, like push it away.
That's the same thing. Like I told you back to like you were talking about my promotion. I think I mentioned to you, you got to be humble because I went from being a career fighter guy to heavies. Mm-hmm. Had no fucking clue what I was doing. So I got there,
At Tinker?
Yeah, as a tech sergeant. It was a whole new world to me. But I felt I stayed humble enough, and the people that were around me were the ones that made me succeed. I ended up making master, and I found the people I could rely on that could give me the right answers and educate me correctly and keep me smart. And I think that's what ultimately helped me make senior. So, I was able to have those guys and gals, man, they provided me with the right info, and I was humble enough to take it from senior airmen, staff sergeants, tech sergeants, whatever. And, yeah, definitely. It's a good way to go, man. Just stay humble.
Yeah, I don't know what book I got this from, but it says to influence people, let them influence you. And, like, that's essentially what you did is you let, like, think how a senior airman felt getting to teach a master sergeant. He's like, oh, yeah, like, you got him.
It's nice because I still talk to a bunch of those folks now, and they're moving up, they're making master or making tech. So it's nice to see, like they're reaping the benefits as well now. So
yeah,
it's awesome.
It is a huge benefit that we don't notice is them. I'm a master sergeant. Them teaching us things give them so much confidence.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. I know you were talking about some of these guys that pulled you up at the beginning of the podcast when you were messing up. Some of your mentors. Something I like to ask people is who like is your some of your top mentors, top leaders, and like maybe like list off maybe 3 as a random arbitrary number, but like who are they and what did they do?
I could make a huge list of people, but I have to go back to like my first assignment in Nellis Air Force Base. Brian Campbell, Nate Castillo, Jason Rude, man, they were, I think one was a senior airman. We had and 2 staff sergeants, just phenomenal people. And I'd look back, Brian Campbell and Jason Rude are super good examples of great people who brought me up, all 3 the same career field. And I ultimately ended up passing both them up in rank, but they never disrespected me. Always a good congratulations and kept carrying me through. And those are the people that got me there. It wasn't just me. It was those guys and how they groomed me, took care of me at that first assignment. And I still look back on those guys now for info. And, when they make rank, I'm always there. Man, I appreciate it. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you. So, like I said, I could list off a bunch of mentors, but there's people I reach back to for several different things. But those are some of the guys that were most influential in the beginning there at Nellis to start me off. I talk about just starting my Air Force career. And then you can go through and talk about, as you go through your Air Force career, different chiefs and seniors and master sergeants, whatever it may be, that influenced me in one way, shape, or form. But I think that's really what built the foundation, those few individuals out there at Nellis, and got me going.
Yeah. It's something interesting. What I found interesting is when I don't think I was influenced by chiefs until I was a master sergeant select. You just
Absolutely.
Chiefs can't influence you. So when you were even at your first base, like you had influence from chiefs or seniors?
No.
Okay.
At my first base, like I said, Jason Rude was a senior airman at the time. I had Brian Campbell, Nate Castillo were staff sergeants at the time. And, I mean, those were the guys I worked with as an A1C. Those were the guys that trained me and got me to where I was. But they took good care of me. And we've crossed paths different times throughout the career. And they're just always the people there that are reaching back like, dude, that's fucking awesome. You just made that. We appreciate it. And, some of them got wives that reach back like, dude, that's awesome. You made it, man. We seen you as an A1C and you're coming along. And so I truly appreciate them because I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them, because they were the ones that were the start at the building blocks of my Air Force career.
Yeah, that's good. And so you said they were your mentors. Were they also your friends even back then?
Friends, mentors, yeah, absolutely.
Right. So you listed off 3: Campbell, Castillo, and Rude.
Yep.
Tell me one good story about Campbell.
Campbell, man, dude's phenomenal. So it was my first supervisor. So like I said, took care of me, maybe broke a few rules because hung out with him as I was coming along. But, he could be stern and be hard and take at work, be like, hey, get your shit together. But he never frowned upon that or brought that up when we were barbecuing and drinking beers on the weekend. So I truly appreciate that. He could separate work and play, and it set a good example for me as a young airman to do that, to be able to separate that work from play. And I never had any hard feelings against him if he had to get in my ass at work.
Yeah, that is a really I've caught myself I was a tech sergeant, and there was a senior airman that I thought was really cool, and he was like a year younger than me, and I tried to do that, hang out with him outside of work, and then at work I failed to set that boundary, and he would call me like, hey, you stupid idiot, at work in front of people. I'm like, whoa, dude. Or one time it was our master sergeant in the room, and she asked him, hey, what are you going to do this weekend? He's, oh, I'm going to get fucked up with John. It's just like, dude, you can't tell people that. You're going to get me in trouble. So that's cool that Campbell was able to do that. And did he have a conversation with you for you to figure that out? Or was it
some
natural?
of it was just natural, just seeing him doing that. So
okay.
Yeah. And then I look back, those 3 were big. And one of the big ones I use still to this day was a guy I worked with at Kadena. So Lindray Curl, he was just took his diamond off recently, picked up senior engine troop, but the dude was phenomenal, man. It was like Kobe Shaq fucking combo when we worked together. He was a super good dude and just super level-headed and told you how it was, but outside of work, it was just good times.
Yeah.
So, and I still reach back to him like, hey, man, need some help on this EPR, need some help on this. Can you give me some guidance here? So I always give him a shout-out when I can because he's been a huge influence in my career as well. And
that's cool. I like the Kobe Shaq analogy.
So that was a big joke when we were at Kadena, man. Our pro super used to call us, but it definitely, you look at it again, back to sports analogies, man. It was just, we got shit done and we won a lot,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you didn't want to talk about Castillo or Rude, but I like asking those questions because just off Campbell, that experience, like that's really interesting to me. Is like that's something I've struggled with, and I'm sure a lot of people all over the Air Force struggle with setting boundaries with their subordinates because they're cool people, real people. And
hey, Castillo rude too. Like Castillo, he gave me other stuff. There's different things like he made me financially savvy when he talked about when I first went to Kadena how to save and how to invest in different things like that. And then I look at Rude. That son of a bitch is like probably one of the best engine troops I've had the opportunity to work with, and he taught me tons of shit. Fighter guy through and through. So being able to work with him just made me that much better coming up.
Yeah. So was he was a staff sergeant when you were a trainee?
So Rude was a senior airman. When I was A1C, he made staff, and then, obviously he's a master sergeant now, and hopefully he'll make senior this go round. He's pro souping up there at Eielson right now. So.
Oh, nice. There's a place I would probably never want to get stationed at.
Absolutely. Been there TDY twice, and twice was more than enough for me.
Does Rude like it?
Loves it. Third go round up there. So Anchorage, I love Anchorage. I spent about a year TDY up in Anchorage, 2 6-month go rounds.
Jeez.
And Anchorage is phenomenal, but fuck Eielson.
Yeah.
You can have it. So I'm going to get a sign.
That guy deserves it.
Yeah.
Like, look what he said about it.
Fucking
Yeah. I've met people that love that place, and I guess maybe I should go there before I knock it, but I'm glad that there's people like Rude and in my case, Jesse Alford and Hall, like that people that want to be there. So
much
let's keep them there.
Yep.
So I don't have to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I didn't know you spent a whole year TDY in Elmendorf. Like, does your family get to go to you when you're there for 6 months at a time?
No, I just when I was at Kadena, we went up there a couple times for different mission sets, and I did 6. It was like I think 6 months one go round, 5 months the other go round. So went up there and just supported the mission we had to support. It was an awesome time. So
was it per diem decent?
Outstanding.
Yeah, like it's just sometimes
we won't go into how much money.
Yeah, sometimes I'm curious, like who's making these decisions?
Yeah.
Just extend some D-roses.
Yeah. It was a good time, good per diem, and awesome city at the end of the day. I went up there with a good group of people, and we were on Panama's the one go round, so it was nice. We'd all get together and we'd travel and different things like that on the weekends and our days off.
Dude, where do you travel when you're in Elmendorf?
Oh, you can go. I mean, you got Talkeetna, you got Anchorage, that city alone. So I mean,
okay, so you stayed like
local
okay.
within a couple hours. So just seeing Alaska. So
yeah, I forgot where they were TDY to, but I knew some pilots that like drove. I don't know what it's called, somewhere really far north, like not the North Pole. If that's even no, I guess there's not even a North Pole.
There is the Arctic Circle.
That was
there.
it.
Yeah,
that was like they went somewhere north.
In Fairbanks, what's nice, you can see the Northern Lights. Like I got to go up there one time, seeing the Northern.
You saw them, okay.
Yeah.
Were you by yourself?
No, we were sitting out on the patio.
Yeah, I took a trip to Iceland by myself. I rented a little camper van out there, drove around the island, and my goal was, I guess it wasn't my only goal, but one of the things I wanted to do was see the Northern Lights, and it was in like January too, where it's most prevalent to see, and it just didn't happen. No.
So it was beautiful. We had a couple guys up there, like into photography. They got a lot of good pictures, so it was cool.
Yeah, I got to go back now.
Yeah.
Where else have you been TDY to?
So stateside wise, I've been to, like I said, Anchorage. I've been to Fairbanks, Nellis, Florida, or Tyndall, Langley. Then overseas, like I said, I've got to go to the desert a few times now. Got to go to Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Malaysia, mainland Japan, Indonesia.
And you whenever you TDY, you usually go with like your friends, right? It's not just a bunch of randoms.
Yeah, so I mean, in the maintenance career field, you're living in the suck every single day. Some days sometimes 6 days a week, 12 to 14 hours a day. So I mean, you know them people more than you know your own family. So
sure.
They become your best friend. So yeah, you got to go TDY deployed with all those guys all the time. So
I think that's something that my career field, air traffic, and most of my listeners are air traffic to this podcast, is we don't have when we can go to any base. So we're not like you probably when you were an F-15, right? Like you're usually around the same jets, fighter jets, like with the same people. You run into a lot of the same people. Like we don't do that. Like you're just going to meet people new.
Even when I swapped to 16s, when I was a shirt, I went there. I got to go TDY several times as a shirt from a year and a half in AMXS. It's a lot of guys and gals you worked with previously in maintenance on F-15s.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, hey, long time no see,
Hey there.
And so I got to go on a lot of good TDYs there as well.
That's cool.
Yeah,
but that's something I'm jealous of, because every time I've TDY'd, which has only been like 6 times and it's never very long, it's just, I don't know anybody there, or maybe maybe I've been stationed with someone once. So I have to like meet them, get to know them before I'm comfortable to just be myself and do my thing, which I do a lot faster than I think the average person. But I would love to just get a paid vacation with my best friends. Like that's what you're doing.
The Air Force is small, so a lot of the places I've gone, if they weren't overseas locations, you get to see people you worked with. Like I said, I went back to Nellis, TDY, and I can meet up with people. Like I said, Brian Campbell, he was back there at one point. I got to meet up with him, got to meet up with Castillo. All the different locations, you just get to know people. You know, it's, at the end of the day, the Air Force is huge, but it's really small.
Yeah, that's true, especially when you're in your career field, like where you're limited to your bases. So you said your first base was Nellis.
Yep.
How long were you there for?
13 months. So first term airman, got picked up at my 6-month mark to get an assignment to Kadena.
Were you happy with that?
Absolutely.
And you were you 21 when you left?
I was, because I actually joined the Air Force at 20. So
okay.
I turned 21 shortly after getting to Nellis. So
I feel like Nellis would be a pretty cool first base for a 21-year-old.
Nellis was an awesome assignment. Yeah. Phenomenal.
And you were ready to go at 13 months?
I would have had no problem staying, but I was excited at my 6-month mark when I got the assignment to go, and then I went to Kadena and fell in love with Kadena. You know, ended up spending 7 years there because I Epcot it.
Okay.
And then, like I said, I'm going back after here. So
I was born there. And when I was in high school in Yokosuka, the Navy base, Japan mainland. You ever been there, Yokosuka?
Yeah. No, I've never been there. I know where it's at.
Okay.
So
I played for soccer. Far East is what they call it. We went back to Okinawa, and it was really cool to like. I was there from I was born there. I don't remember that, but then I was back there from like 6th to 7th grade, or no, I don't know, 3rd to 6th. I was there, and like I had my little memories there, and then we were there, and I was like, man, like it is crazy to like 15 years.
So you Navy brat?
No, my dad retired out of he did 10 years Marine, 10 years Air Force, retired, but he retired when I was 3. Okay. Stayed in DOD, and we moved around a lot. Still, every 2 to 3 years, I kept moving.
I've been fortunate each assignment basically have Navy and Army, and then not long ago I just went through the Navy CPO selection.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, they picked a few Air Force folks back at Misawa, and we went through. So that's why I asked when you said Yokosuka. Yeah.
Well, so you did it at Misawa?
I did.
The training? That's air base, though.
It is, but they got Naval Air Facility out there.
Okay.
So I've been each assignment I've had, I've basically had Army and Navy.
So CPO, what does that stand for exactly?
Chief Petty Officer.
Okay. So like for their E7s?
They go through an initiation process. So can't talk about it because it's pretty secret, but hey, it's an awesome process. If you ever get the opportunity, they are full on board out there at Misawa doing it. The command chief and the CMC are like hand in hand and getting people involved in it. So it's an awesome opportunity.
Yeah, I won't pressure you. Don't talk about it if it's like actually a thing you don't talk about, but that's cool. So like when a Navy people make E7s, they go through a training that they don't talk about.
Their E6s, when they pick up E7, they go through a selection process. So there's some leadership. There's 6 weeks of leadership basically, but it's kind of kept on the down low.
Yeah,
it's an awesome opportunity. If you talk to Navy folks, they know what you're talking about.
It's like a NCOA kind of style of thing.
Way better.
Oh,
way better.
Nothing's better than NCOA.
No, it's way better than NCOA.
You know, when you ask what is my favorite, like my one of my favorite moments, my best assignment, it was Osan Air Base 17 to 18. But my favorite like 6 weeks ever was NCOA. Like no responsibility, just hanging out with a bunch of people. It was in Ramstein too, so it was cool to like. I had a camper van. We would just like go.
Lucky you. I had to go to fucking Shepherd for my NCOA.
Okay, yeah, maybe that would not be my highlight. That's something that's really cool about the Air Force, though. I don't know if did you make friends there at least at Shepherd? Just sitting in the dorms together for those 6 weeks?
You definitely make friends. It's when you go through any of that training, you know, you're networking, you make a bunch of friends you got to hang out with, some lifelong, some short term. So.
Yep. Yeah. And I guess I never realized how lucky I was to go. I was trying not to go because I had done course 15.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't need to go to this. I don't want to go. And I was telling my superintendent, I don't want to go. I don't have to. The rule says I don't have to. And he's like, you're going. Suck it up. And I'm really glad. Yeah, and it was the best 6 weeks of my Air Force career. Maybe the second 5 weeks. The first week kind of sucked. But
fair enough.
Yeah. Oh, man. So working with Sheriff, he's like the most liked commander I've ever met through word of mouth, and I've only like shaken his hand. We're the exact same height, so him and I have something in common. But what's it like working for that guy? I guess is there a new one yet? Or is
he just came in. He's got a couple of days under his belt. But
okay.
I'll talk about the previous sheriff. Phenomenal individual. like I said, I believe if I count it correctly, I was teasing him. He was like my 10th commander, but he and I, like, we jived perfectly. We seen eye to eye on everything. So it was super simple. You know, he was after the same things I was after. So it made it super, super simple. And his ability to not only bring up and take care of the officer corps, but the way the enlisted folks loved him was amazing. I teased him on our last night. We were having a drink, or we were having a glass of whiskey together, myself, him, and cool. Chief, just, hey, kind of reminiscing over. I only got to serve with him 3 months, but phenomenal individual. I told him I'd do it, serve for him any day. If I could stay a shirt and I could be his shirt somewhere, I would do it any day, or another position. But we were kind of talking, so he was super big on heritage, and he did a bunch of stuff around the squadron, worked to get pictures to capture the defenders over the years. But there's we've been doing yearbooks for they did yearbooks for several years, from like the late 60s or 70s up until the early 90s, and it kind of fell off for like 27 years. And he's like, hey, I want to do this, and he did a yearbook. And it's kind of funny because, you know, all the people, when they got the yearbooks in, it was the day before he left, and they were like at his door, like, hey, please sign this. So it's like high school all over again, but that's impressive, because I've been in several units and worked with several commanders, and I can't say I've ever seen that many enlisted folks stand at a door to get a few last words with somebody, because that's the type of impression he put on people.
Yeah, and that's what I think is incredible, because I've barely talked to the guy, but every security force person I met says that he's the best commander ever. Yeah. Have you met Sheriff? He's at our hooch. That's Sheriff.
The easiest way to sum it up is when I got out of ROM here, so I started going around and meeting, like, hey, I'm the shirt for security forces, kind of getting the lay of the land, and they're like, you're lucky, you're in the best command team here on base.
I bet that's so nice to hear.
Like, you know, you never know, because like I came out of an awesome unit, and you never know what to expect, and then I get 14 days in ROM, and it's like, all right, here we go. Yeah. And I got out, and everybody's like, man, you're in the best command team on this base. And I was the oddball, because I was the only one that wasn't a Ranger. So shout out to my Chief and Sheriff for being Rangers.
Yes. So I got two things. First, what's the yearbook like? Like a high school yearbook, just says every security forces and when they got here?
So it's divvied up by flights and different things like that, and captures different events. So very similar. You know, you have S1, S2, S3, and it's all in there. K9. So very similar to your high school yearbook. Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome.
That is cool, especially for like Kunsan. Like everyone remembers Kunsan to have that book. And is Mikey Thompson in there? Like, can I buy a yearbook?
You can. I think they have some extras, and then you can get him to sign it. So.
I've got to go there tomorrow to deregister my vehicle.
Come up to the second floor if I'm up there. We'll see if we can get you a yearbook. And can get Mikey Thompson to sign it.
I will do that. I'll be there tomorrow. I would like that. He would be baffled. Second thing I want to ask is, for Sheriff, for people to be trying to get him, like, enlist people, just people wanting him to sign a book on his last day. It does say a lot, but I want to know, like, what do you think it was that he did so well that made all enlisted and officer people like him and want to follow him?
Super down to earth, super humble guy. You know, he didn't have a problem taking the enlisted advice or the young officer advice, and he would run with it. He, just a super lovable person. It was insane. Like I said, I've never seen, I've had one other commander similar to him, but I mean, everybody just loved him, and his ability to communicate with the young folks and give them what they wanted and make it a better place for them was just phenomenal. So, yeah.
It sounds like some very, like, fundamental things that, like, all these books tell me to do, but people just don't execute.
It's awesome he's going to be a deputy commander. It's sad that he's leaving the squadron, because he has such a big effect on folks.
Where's he going?
He went off to Moody, so... To
be like the vice wing commander? Or?
Oh, no, he went off to be a deputy, group deputy. He went out to the, what's it called? Now I'm lost for words.
Moody Base Defense Zone?
It is the base defense thing, out there. Yeah. So, yeah, and it's his world, man, because he's, like I said, got the Ranger tab and just a badass. So it's good world for him, because he can go out there, hopefully get air assault and all that good stuff.
I'm sure he will.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah. Is he a book reader? You guys talk about books?
We did not talk about books, but I would assume he seems pretty well educated. But he never made it seem like he's more educated than anybody. So it was nice. He could keep it right on your level where you're at. So that was a plus too.
Yeah, I'm not gonna ask. Tell me something he did bad, but like people like that where all you hear is good. It's like I got to hear something bad.
There's nothing. Everything was great about him.
What's something you do bad?
Oh, man, I make mistakes every single day. Yeah, I make mistakes every single day.
What'd you make today?
Damn, I don't know. Let's see.
You must not. Maybe you didn't.
Yeah, I made some type of mistake because I am far from perfect.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. So Chief Clark is my chief, wizard chief. And you know him.
Love him to death too.
Yeah.
Awesome individual.
I'm a big fan of him. He's my supervisor too. He pulled me. He was like, I'm supervising you, which is cool. Whenever someone wants to do that. He talked me into staying here to make sure my EPR close is out here, which I'm not too concerned about, but it's cool that he does those things. And man, I forgot what I was going to say about him, but shit. It was important and very hard. Oh no, here I remembered. Is I was trying to do a last minute MFR that I was trying to rush, and I got a template from a squadron, put my stuff in there, put my reasoning, sent it direct to him, and he calls me. He's like, "Hey man, I'm trying to I just want you to know, peer senior NCO to senior NCO, you got to be good at this stuff." And I was like, "What do you mean?" In my head, I was like, "I got a template from it's gonna be good." And I should have reviewed it. It was bad. There was not 2 spaces. Paragraph 5 was under the 5, and the rest of them weren't. I was like, how did I miss this?
Trust me, I make the mistakes every day when you're using templates and you're doing different paperwork for people. But
yeah, and it's just weird how if it had been any, I shouldn't say this, had it been any other senior NCO, not any other, if another senior NCO would have said, hey, you messed this up, I probably would have been okay, thanks for catching it, fixed it, moved on. But when it's him, it's damn it! Why did I send you this shitty product?
It wasn't yelling. It was in the typical Chief Clark.
Yeah,
low key, chill.
He's yeah, John, I'm not trying to get on you. I'm just trying to be chiefly. We can't send this up. It's yell at me.
Yeah, you're a fucking idiot. Fix it.
Tell me I am stuck here till July because I sent you a shitty product. Yeah. I deserve this. Yeah, so it's cool when people can just talk to you, how you're saying Sheriff does, just talk to you on your level. Or even though he knows way more than me, he doesn't tell me that. He doesn't remind me that. Stuff like that is really cool and something I think I do, but I need to when other people do it and I see it, I start doing it myself. Yeah. Man. Ask me something.
Oh shit! Man, you put me on the spot. I didn't come prepared.
No, I've got a list of questions I can always ask people. Something I really like asking, and Mike Thompson has a good answer to this. I asked him this once. If you could meet one person currently alive and one person currently dead for a 30-minute lunch, who would you pick? So let's start with the dead person. 30-minute lunch with someone who's currently dead.
Currently dead. Can I use a family member?
Yeah.
I would have to say one of my grandfathers.
Yeah. What would you want to ask him? Or just 30 minutes of seeing him again?
So, hey, my grandfather, 28-year Marine. When I was looking to join the Air Force, like I said, I'd been out of school about 2 years to join it. And it might have just been his tactic, but he was kind of an ass to me. Yeah. When I was doing it. He was the one told me, he's like, hey, you need to go Air Force or something. He goes, don't go Marine, don't go Army, different things. But some of the things, he and I chatted a little bit before I did, and some of the things he had said to me, it was like, God damn, you're being an asshole. But now I'd like to be like, hey, here's where I'm at, And I think some of it was just his tactics, just to, motivate me and push me to be where I'm at today. But
it would be good to get were you just an asshole, or were you did you have some deeper thought?
I love him to death, man, because he was there through all my childhood up at, I was in the Air Force for a couple of years when he passed away. Phenomenal individual and did a lot of great things for his country as a Marine, and was an awesome grandfather. But just we won't go in depth on here. Some of the things he said to me, we used to sit around his little kitchen table on his enclosed porch. I'd sit and talk with him. Some of the things he shared with me, he's like, son of a bitch, that's what you think of me? And again, I look back, I was like, maybe that's what motivated me to do this, and do that type of thing and be where I'm at today. So I truly appreciate that. Yeah. Whatever, the things he said to me. And I'd like to just be like, hey, what do you think now?
Yeah. I'm sure he'd be proud of you. Yeah. But it is cool when you're a kid and you just don't pick up on what exactly, why are you talking to me like this? That's a good pick, and I really like that pick because the last 2 people I asked that on this podcast, they both picked Hitler, just to be like, okay, what the fuck was wrong with you? Which makes sense. But it's man, why is everyone thinking Hitler for this question?
Yeah,
I like your pick a little more than any others too. All right, what about if someone currently still alive?
Fucking Michael Jordan.
Oh, what would you ask him? That's good. Because you're a baseball guy. Oh, he played baseball.
He did play baseball.
You're in.
I don't know exactly what I'd ask him, but watching his movie Save the Last Dance, I love his style, man. He's just like, hey, if you're not going to be a badass on the court, there's no need for you to get on the court. So I don't need anybody half-assing, and that's how I kind of look at life every single day. Like, if you're not going to come to work and give 100%, you don't deserve to be here. I don't need 80%. I don't need 50%. I need you performing at 100% so this team succeeds and goes on and wins championships. So I guess really I'd ask, like, hey, how the hell did you motivate your people to be that way, and how did you hold them accountable to do that? You know,
Yeah.
Because like I say, I look back at that movie. And what I like about, one of my favorite parts about that movie is where Dennis Rodman goes on like his bender, and him and Scottie Pippen like fly out to Vegas and find him all like hammered, drunk and whatnot at the hotel, and like, hey bro, it's time to come back.
Yeah.
Like, that's one hell of a leader to be like, hey, I know you're good enough, so I'm gonna go out there, drag you back. So I'd probably ask like, hey, what's the best way? How do you hold people accountable? How do you continue to motivate people to give you that 100% on the court or sit on the bench?
Yeah, I've never seen Save the Last Dance, but now I'm kind of intrigued into watching it.
You should probably watch it this week.
This week.
Absolutely.
Is it on Netflix?
It is on Netflix.
Then
One
I
of
will.
the best movies I've watched.
Yeah, I will watch that. But if you had to try to, let's pretend now you are Michael Jordan, you have to answer that. Like, how do you get people to give 100% every time? What do you think he's doing right?
He's performing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's doing it. He's walking the walk. He's not just talking the talk, he's walking the walk. So I think that means a lot. If you're, we can all say a bunch of shit.
Yep. But
if we're not executing on that, or we're not walking that walk, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. I've read this thing once. It's human nature to judge yourself based on your best potential, and to judge others by their worst examples. Okay. And so I've caught myself doing that. Like, not very often, not lately, but I could see, like, Michael Jordan, what can you say bad about him in relations to basketball? Not much. He's the best. Yeah. So when you think that analogy, but yeah, he's performing, and if he flies to Las Vegas to tell me to come back to Chicago, I guess I'll go back to Chicago.
Together, yeah.
All right. Man, that's really good. Another question I like to ask on first dates is, this is how I decide, and this isn't a date, but it's just like a really cool, interesting question. If you could spend all expenses paid for, 3 months traveling Asia, or 3 minutes on the moon, and you get a +1 for both adventures, which one are you picking?
Asia.
And who you bringing?
Fuck, I don't know. That's the tough part. The
decision was easy. Yeah. So it's like, that's like one of those questions that really split down the middle. You've got no interest in going to the moon?
I got no interest in going to the moon. Absolutely none.
What if it was just, you can go to the moon, or you can continue being a shirt here for the next...
Continue being a shirt. Got no ambition to go to the fucking moon.
Why not?
Because you see the pictures, there ain't shit up there. But I think if I did, like, my daughter's pretty adventurous, so I'd probably take her on the Asia vacation.
That's a good pick.
Yeah.
Your son would be jealous.
Nah, he'd be cool to go, but he's got other shit, he's got other priorities, so he'd be like, hey man, I ain't got time for you, type of thing.
Do you think Thailand will be a good father-daughter? Like, I know they got elephants and stuff there.
There is. You can stay away from the father-daughter stuff.
The adult
fun.
There
there is plenty of stuff you can do there, and we'd have a good time, I think.
Where else in Asia would you go besides Thailand?
One of the places I'd like to go is Vietnam and Cambodia.
Okay. Yeah, I follow some YouTube travelers, and they've got some cool stuff out there, like the meals and culture. Yeah, it's really unique. And they got this one thing. I don't know how they do it. They take a beer can, I guess not a Miller Lite, but some kind of Vietnamese beer, and I don't know what they do with the beer, but they somehow stick a whole chicken in the beer and then like roast it on a fire, and like, I want to try that.
Beer can chicken.
Yeah. I only know beer can chicken from the seasoning, but I guess it's a real thing.
You can buy the rack and you put the chicken on there with the beer in it. You're good.
In America, they sell that?
Yeah.
I've never. I'm American. I've never seen that. I just saw it on a YouTube video.
Amazon's amazing.
I'm gonna buy that. Man. So you're going to be a shirt when you get to Okinawa again?
I am. So like I said, I extended. So I was able to take my diamond off in March of 21 at my 3-year mark. Fortunately, have an awesome functional. She reached out and said, hey, I can't get anybody to fill these senior billets at Kunsan. Are you willing to go?
Okay.
I said, yep. And I had planned on just doing like, all right, cool. I'll go there 1 year, take my diamond off, go back to my career field. And I got some email traffic from her, and she's like, hey, there's some other spots I can't fill E8 billets if anybody wants to extend. So I ultimately extended to take the job. It worked out perfect because like I said, I got to LRS. I really started enjoying. I fell in love with the first sergeant job. So when all that came out, I got the assignment here, and then got the opportunity to put in a follow-on. I was like, oh shit, they need people at Kadena. I was like, I spent 7 years at Kadena. I love it. Let's do it again. So I put a few PACAF bases, few USAFE bases, and here we go. I got Okinawa. So looking forward to going back.
Do you get any say at all in what a group you go to?
Not really. It's all up to the command chief and normally the senior shirt. They kind of pick based off they look at your primary AFSC, some of the experience you had, and then they try to give you something different normally.
Okay.
Yeah. So hopefully I can go out there. I'd like to, if I'm blessed enough, I would love to make chief someday. The ability to, if I could make chief and go back to spend some time in my career field, go back, get selected to be a 8F MAGCOM functional manager and hopefully command chief down the road. So my goal at Kadena would be to go to AFSOC for a little bit because they got some AFSOC units. If I could spend a little bit of time out there and spend a little time in something like medical, that way I've kind of captured all the groups, all the different spots. That way, if someday if I'm blessed enough to become a command chief, I can easily communicate all that and know what everybody's going through and what everybody's mission set is.
Yeah, I never thought it would be unfair to make it a requirement to be a shirt with that much experience to be a command chief, but that's definitely a huge advantage you would have to know all that stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely a plus to be able to know all these different mission sets that people go through. Because, I grew up in maintenance, like I said, and you get this tunnel vision and you're only looking and thinking about maintenance. And then you get out and you see everybody else's struggles and what they're going through and different things like that. I feel I'm pretty well educated now on hey, when I go, for instance, when I go back to maintenance, I can talk smartly to the LRS mission set. Like we deal with supply all the time, and I can talk why some things happen this way versus that way.
Yeah.
And it's not just like, hey, fuck you, man. You guys aren't doing your job. When I was a staff sergeant or tech sergeant.
Yeah. It's cool. I didn't, you assume most people when they make senior, they've got a good shot at chief. And I really do hope you make it, especially like your thing being, I never really cared about making chief. I just like taking care of people. And so it's cool to see someone like that make chief. It's cool to see, I think we have a lot of people who work really hard and do try to get promoted. We do need that because there needs to be like that thing on what you're supposed to do. But we also need people who are like, oh, I just want to take care of people who just somehow make it, because it's nice for guys like me to see oh, you can do that and make it. And that's what you're doing. I see it through my interactions with you. And we need that. We really need that. I assume you have the voice of the people just through the few security forces. And, I guess you mess with some MSG people through Mike Thompson. Things like that is what we need people to do, or what I think we need people to do, because that's kind of what I hope to be.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I always look at it like, hey, if you're doing all the right things, you're going to make rank eventually. It might not be at the time you want, but you'll make it. If you're doing the right things and taking care of people, it's coming to you. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I look at it for the most part. Yeah,
and it's worked. I don't know if we said it on here, but I know you made senior without a strat.
Yeah.
That's not very normal. That's almost unheard of.
I got real fortunate because, and I had good feedback when I didn't get the strat or whatever. I was young master sergeant, just became a pro super, and I had awesome leadership in there again, and, got a lot of good feedback and why I didn't, and I was perfectly fine with it. We had guys in that unit that got a strat that definitely deserved it over me, man. They were the ones who trained me and made me who I was, and I would have loved to see them get promoted. But what I appreciate a lot is the fact that when I got promoted, there was didn't feel like any animosity. They never were like, oh, fuck that. We didn't want you to get promoted. They were like, holy shit, that's awesome, dude. So I truly appreciate those individuals that I was surrounded with at that time when I got promoted.
Yeah, that's great. It's cool to have that support too, because I know that's got to mean a lot. I was eligible for senior this last time for my first time, and I didn't get a strat. Of course, you want one, and if you don't get one, you're sad. But what was cool was I had left Germany 5 months ago at this point, and the chief there, he didn't just forget about me. He called me, and he was like, hey, here's what other people did better than you. Here's what you could do, and I know it sucks. And, it was cool for people to take the time to do that. And then I could, just accept, I really wasn't ready.
Because then it gives you what you need to look for in the next year. Hey, this is where I fell short. This is what I need to start looking for to get that strat, to be able to get promoted to whatever it may be.
Yeah, and even if it wasn't like kind of like you, like that's not my end goal. It was cool for someone to reach back and like for me to know like, yeah, I've got the potential or I've got tools to figure out how to do it if I change my mind and I really want to do this. So that's cool. Man, that's really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I hope you ever been to Kinzer? Camp Kinzer?
Yep, sure have.
For what were you doing there? That's where like I lived as a kid.
I don't know. We used to go there they had the what the hell is it called? The where you drop off DRMO.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where you dropped off all your DRMO shit when I was at Kadena.
You have to drive all over and turn shit
so
in.
they had the DRMO over there, so yeah.
Oh man. What's been your not your first base, Nellis? What's been your best base? Kadena?
Absolutely Kadena.
So it's such a small island. Like you got what is that beach? Okuma?
Okuma, yep.
So what else is it that you like so much about this small island?
I hate cold weather.
Okay.
So I love the warm weather there, and it's just awesome to be able on the weekends to go to the beaches, just hang out and enjoy that type of. I like the island vibe. So
yeah,
like if you were to ask me like 3 places, like places I love, I like Guam, I like Okinawa, I like Hawaii. It's all islands. I don't get the island fever. I love being out there, the ability to go to the water, just drink beer, have a good time.
It sounds like a really good life. So. Let's say you retire in the next 5 to 15 years. Where do you want to be at that point?
I would love to start my civilian career in fucking Hawaii or Okinawa so I could be on an island.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Any island. You ever been to Malta?
I have not.
That would be if I did retire today and could live anywhere, that's where it'd be. It's island.
Yeah. I just like the weather. It's good weather. I like to be in flip-flops.
Yep.
So.
What do you want to be doing job-wise?
So hopefully something super simple, because if I'm blessed enough to make chief, I'm happy to continue to serve. I'd love to go to 30 years, just retire as a chief and just get some BS job and just have a good time.
like BS, like Burger King or like what?
Like the UFPM, like the UDM or something, some GS7, GS9, just living on chief retirement and just doing my thing.
Yeah, they would come to you for so much more. 30-year chief retirement. They're not going to let you just do UDM and not like ask you like, how do we do everything else?
I'll be like,
that's not in my PD.
I'll just have to tell them, yeah, it's not in my PD. Like, do you need your mobility folder? I got you. No. So I really, because I put a lot of time into my career, I feel I would like to travel more, work less type of things. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's good. When I was making those goals of those 4 things I want to do, and traveling was one of them. Like whenever I try to think, when am I most happy? It's when I'm like traveling with a group of friends or a friend that I really like and care about. Like that
Absolutely.
is when I am the happiest.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And that's why I said, like you were alluding to earlier, like got to go on all those TDYs with all my friends. It doesn't get much better than that. You're getting good per diem and having a blast with all your friends.
Yep.
I mean, you can't ask for a better time.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like if I could ask for a better time, maybe go to the moon. I'm going to see what this F-16 thing is like. But yeah, there's not much to it. Like that is when I am the happiest. So whenever I retire, that's what I hope to do. Like also, another thing we have in common, I want to be on an island, somewhere warm. My thing is I want to open a scuba shop somewhere.
Okay.
I just be like an instructor, kind of work
Are you
when I have an
qualified?
appointment. No, but it's on my list of things
Nice.
to do. So I will be.
Yeah.
But I keep getting stuck in these deadlock middle of America things. I actually went to Jeju in November to get scuba certified, but they didn't have enough people with COVID. They couldn't do it. So it's not hard to do. I know I can do it.
You need to get down to Kadena because you can get all qualified.
Yeah.
And do all that stuff. Yeah.
I'm going to Spokane next, but I will. I got 80 days of leave. I'm going to do something cool.
Yeah.
Check a bunch of my boxes of things I want to do.
Nothing wrong with
So
that.
that's cool. The island life.
Yeah.
Simple.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully. I think you could do it. I mean, especially even if you retired now or in 5 years, you'd be able to do that. I think. Cool. Last thing I want to ask, and if you have anything more to say, we can do it, but your leadership philosophy, hopefully you got one. What is it?
I do. We kind of teased about the call sign chaos and leading things like gangs lead stuff, but really I have to go back to, like I said, when I was a young tech sergeant, my leadership philosophy is just all about taking care of people, and I'm all about treating everybody like my brother, my sister, my son, my daughter, because, even growing up, my parents grew up one way, they want it better for us. So that's how I try to treat everything I do. Like, I want better for every guy and gal in my squadron. I want them to get promoted. I want them to go be officers. I want them to go to college, all that different stuff. So I push all that on them. So my leadership philosophy is really just taking care of people so those people can be better.
Yeah, that's simple and that's really good. Man, I was saying this, and it's hard to follow that in ALA. All those students had like these 3-page leadership philosophies. Like, oh damn it, like mine's not even close to that.
Yeah, that's why I said all their leadership philosophies. When you were reading some of them, it's just amazing. And I think about every day, if I just come to work, take care of every individual in our squadron, help them get whatever they need, man, that it's there. You know, because at the end of the day, if I'm taking care of them, they're taking care of me. They're taking care of the squadron. They're taking care of the base, whatever it may be. So that's my goal every single day. Like I told you earlier on, you could take my paycheck right now, and I'd still come do what I do every single day. Wouldn't hurt my feelings.
That's awesome. That you're willing, like you're really doing what you love. They say that's what you want to do. Follow your passion. Do what you love.
Like I said, I don't ever hate waking up for work. I want to go to work every day. You know, it's nothing. There's nothing better than seeing like smiles on these folks' face when they're like, hey, man, shirt, I can't get this. And you go and just like, hey, what do we got to do to get this to happen? And it happens. And it's like, holy shit, how'd you do that? Don't worry, we got it done. Like, let's press on. So
yeah, that's got to be a nice power or influence to have to make those things happen. And I can see how it's so satisfying. But yeah, and I appreciate you being on here. I appreciate you sharing me your buddies and I guess young mentors with Castillo, Rude, and Campbell. Is that right?
Yep.
Like that's cool to like. Hopefully these 3 listen to that and they like appreciate that you picked them, you passed them, and they're cool with it. Like that's something. It takes a very confident person, or like it's like to be okay with that, and it's cool that they've kept up with you.
Truly awesome individuals, man. Like I said, couldn't have asked for better people to start my Air Force career out with.
I believe it. And I appreciate the book suggestions. I'm going to have to write down afterwards all the ones you suggested for the book club.
You've suggested a few I'd like to read.
Yeah,
so definitely. Thank you.
There's the collection over there. But yeah, I always like to give you the last words. And if there's anything else you want to talk about, we're always welcome to do it.
I just want to say thank you, man. It's an awesome opportunity to come on here and do this. You know, you don't get this opportunity every day. So I truly appreciate what you're doing because you've had a lot of great people on. Like I look at your podcast logo here, and you got a lot of folks that have signed it, and they're all awesome individuals that I've got to work with here at Kunsan. So I just truly appreciate you having me on here. It's truly a blessing to be able to get on here and just chat with you for a little while, and I hope you continue doing this, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's a fun hobby. It's mostly just more people listen to this than I ever thought would listen to it, but it's just fun to like talk to someone because that's something I kind of enjoy, like that traveling with someone I care about or know, but also just talking to someone, like hearing your life stories. And then like you've said a lot of things that I can't recollect and write them all down, but I know they'll click with me at later points and it makes me better. So it's a fun experience.
And I mean, we got to drink beer. It doesn't get much better than this.
I can't get over that you brought your own koozie. Yeah. No one does that, especially here in Korea. Like nobody has koozies. They don't sell these in Asia. Koozies aren't a thing. But I appreciate it.
That's why I said I can really give a shout out. Like I told you, I'm using the ammo one because I miss my first sergeant friend Jay Weber. So hopefully he listens to this. I'm using his ammo koozie because I love him so much.
Cool. Well, we'll make the thumbnail. I mean, I've just got a Wild Weasels from Shaw Air Force Base. If you want to turn it, we'll make this the thumbnail. Look at the camera.
There it is. Boom. I think you need to make fucking koozies with your logo.
Yeah, that's so. I actually put in an order 3 weeks ago, and then 2 weeks ago, or no, I guess 1 week ago, or 2 weeks later, they're like, "Hey, we can only do 2 colors, and you have a couple different ones. Would you like us to push forward for an extra like $12?" Which of course I'm going to say yes, but then it pushed it to where I might not get it before I leave here, so I said no.
Okay.
And so yeah, they just lost. Like they should have just done it.
Yeah, just do it.
Asshole. Yeah. Custom ink.
Usually custom ink does me pretty solid.
So I went through them all the time, and I got to go with someone else.
Yeah. I had the same thing with some T-shirts. So you get too many colors, and we can't do that.
Yeah.
Right, fair enough.
Cool. Well, Craig French, Senior, I appreciate you being on here, and I'll have this up in maybe a week or two. I'm trying to savor some, so when I'm PCSing and I have a 2-month gap, that I can like release them while I'm traveling or waiting for my TMO.
Like I said, I appreciate it, so thank you.
Cool. Well, thanks again for being here.
Cheers.
Thank you all for listening to Have a Tisue Podcast, episode number 12. My main takeaway from this discussion with Senior Master Sergeant French is to get my organization to behave like a gang in the way General Mattis suggests. I've had a lot of people reach out over the last 2 months, and it's been fun to talk about my guests or things that I've said. I didn't realize how many of my friends and watchers read. Have a Tisue podcast is finally on Apple Podcasts. In addition to Apple Podcasts, my current platforms are YouTube, Spotify, Pocket Cast, Breaker, and Anchor.